Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the Shinigami Servant? Part 1. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. The male figure with blonde hair who was 6 tall and had a body built like an athlete opened his eyes and blinked a couple of moments as his eyes took in the night sky from a hill he was standing on that overlooked a huge city. The figure looked up at the sky and said, "Another mission, huh?" The female voice behind him said yes. The male turned to where the female voice came from and saw a red fox sitting on the ground and said, "Sometimes I hate being Shinigami's bitch. So where are we, Caillou?" The fox, now named Caillou, said, "We are currently in a world where instead of the Americans fighting back against the British to declare their independence, they embraced the British way of life, creating the Holy Britannian Empire, which is a monarchy dictatorship that is currently trying to take over the world. This is Area 11, formerly known as Japan before it was taken over." The blonde sighed and said, "It's always a never-ending cycle of violence." As he shook his head and asked, "So did he give us any info on why we are here?" Caillou's eyes began to glow, and a holographic image appeared showing a picture of a girl with sandy brown hair and blue eyes, and Caillou said, "This is our client. Nunnally Lamperouge, formerly Princess Nunnally Vi Britannia, current age 14. When she was 16 she completed the requirement for the paper crane wish and made one." The blonde raised an eyebrow and said, "Well, this is going to be interesting. The big boys only look at those if it was a noble reason. Where do we meet our client?" The image changed and file appeared and the blonde began to read and said, "Okay. Any restrictions, Caillou?" Caillou said, "Actually this time Shinigami actually giving us a little more freedom. This world has a form of immortality in it, so he's going to let us stay in this world until we die of old age or are killed, providing we don't try and gain the immortality for ourselves. Other than that, he's giving us his full blessing to do whatever the hell we want to, as long as we complete our mission, Naruto." Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze leaned back and stretched as a smirk appeared and said in a sickening sweet voice, "Really, we've been his bitch for years now and my body's still only 17 years old. This time he's letting me actually die of old age." Caillou said, "Laugh it up, kid. At least you have a real body. He stuck my soul in this thing and made me your personal servant." Naruto smirked and said, "Quit being a baby, Caillou, and I'll make sure that you get to have some fun. Now come on. We need to get some money if we are to survive here, then meet our client. Luckily Lady Luck loves pissing Shinigami off by making me lucky usually." Caillou snickered and thought only you could call closing a casino in every dimension or world usually. 6 weeks later, Nunnally Lampero was asleep in her bed when she stiffened and sat up slowly and said, "Who's there?" The male voice said, "A servant who has come to help you, your majesty." Nunnally was scared and said, "Who are you?" In a scared tone, the male said, "My hand is on the edge of your bed to your right. I'm told you are able to tell if a person is lying by touching them. I want you to take my hand so you know that what I tell you is the truth, your majesty." Nunnally bit her lip but slowly moved her hand from her covers to the right side of her bed and felt a moment before feeling a hand, and the voice said, "My name is Naruto and I have been sent here to help you, Lady Nunnally." Nunnally thought he's telling the truth and said, "Who sent you and how are you supposed to help me?" Naruto said, "You may not believe me, but I am a servant of the gods and I was sent here because in 2 years you will have made 1,000 paper cranes and made a wish that was noble enough to catch the gods' attention. What that wish is I don't know. They sent me and my companion Caillou, who is a very special fox who is sitting on the floor here, to help you complete your wish. In order for me to help fulfill your wish, I will need to give you your memories for the next 2 years with a gift the gods gave me for these type of things. May I restore your memories so you may know what it is that you wished for and then tell me so I may fulfill your wish." Nunnally thought, I can't detect any lie, either he is able to trick me or he's telling the truth, and said, "Tell me a lie." Naruto said, "I'm here to hurt you." Nunnally smiled and said, "You just lied, but you were telling the truth about why you are here. I don't understand, but I think I can trust you, right?" Naruto said, "Yes." Nunnally said, "What must you do? Give me back my memories." Naruto smiled and said this as he leaned down and kissed her forehead gently. Nunnally gasped and her eyes actually opened as they glossed over as 2 years worth of memories fill her mind. Tears fell down her cheeks as she tried to deal with the memories. Naruto kneeled down beside her and pulled her into a hug and whispered, "Let it out. I've soundproofed the room, so scream, cry, do whatever you want. I won't judge you or tell anyone, Lady Nunnally. You may be a beautiful young lady and a princess, but you are also a human being with feelings just like anyone else. Let it go." In a gentle voice, Nunnally grabbed onto Naruto and cried into his chest. Naruto smiled softly when she fell asleep and thought whatever her wish was must have been a very personal one for her to cry so much. Naruto gently laid her back down on the bed and sat down on the ground and closed his eyes to meditate. A few hours later, Nunnally awoke and opened her eyes and thought, I can see, wait. As she took in her room and saw Naruto leaning against the wall with one arm resting on his knee and the other arm by his side. Naruto said, "How do you feel?" Startling Nunnally before he opened his eyes. Nunnally asked, have you been awake all this time? Naruto smiled gently and said, you should know better than anyone to doubt the power of hearing. I let your heartbeat lull my mind like waves crashing into the sea until I heard it speed up, showing you were waking up. Nunnally said, I've never seen someone like you. Naruto said, what do you mean? Nunnally said, someone who can listen to another person's heartbeat several feet away. Naruto shrugged and said, what can I say, they don't make them like me anymore, thank God. Saying the last part quietly. Nunnally heard it though and said, you don't like what you are. Being an 11. In a confused tone. Naruto tensed a moment and said, I joke about you having good hearing, and then underestimated moment later, but no. You may see me as a Japanese or an 11, but remember, I was sent here by the gods. I'm not from this place. I'm from a very distant land that is nothing like you will ever find here. Nunnally bit her lip, and Naruto said, it doesn't matter, I guess. I'm here for a reason, your wish. Can you tell me what it was? Nunnally looked down and said, my brother he's going to start a war against our father and take over the world. He was seen as the demon emperor for what he did to get the throne, but it was all an act. He created a fake identity known as Zero, and the day he died he had Sasuke, an old friend of ours, take up the identity of Zero and had Zero kill him, bringing peace to the world. That was his goal, bring peace for me. I want my brother to live and not die. Naruto frowned and said, lots of people are going to die during this war, don't they? Nunnally nods and Naruto looked at Caillou, who was laying at Nunnally's feet, and said, you should know that you won't be able to tell anyone. The gods made it where you as my client can talk to me about my mission as well as Caillou here, but no one else. That means you won't be able to tell your brother or anyone else what you know. Nunnally looked down and Naruto said, but don't worry. I'm here, the god sent me to complete your wish. I'll protect your brother and make sure he lives, but I'm not sure how yet. The info I have on you says you were crippled and blind, but you can see now. Do you have any idea why you can see now? That shouldn't have happened. Nunnally thought a moment and said, Jeez. Naruto blinked and asked, what's Jeez? Nunnally said, Jeez is this thingy my brother somehow got that allows him to command people to do what he wants. My father, the king, has one as well. He put a command on me that made me blind in order to protect me because I saw my mother murdered right in front of me and Lelich when I was crippled by a bullet to my spine. Naruto said, fuck. A Dijutsu. Causing Caillou to open her eye and give Naruto a look that Naruto knew instantly what it meant. Nunnally looked confused and said, Dijutsu, what's that? Naruto bit his lip and said, where I am from there are people with special abilities called bloodlines. A special ability that passes down inside the blood of family members. One such bloodline is a Dijutsu, or a bloodline of the eye. The most famous ones were the Sharingan, Byakugan, and Rinnegan. This G sounds like it is similar to the Sharingan. I guess since your father has it and your brother has it, it must be a bloodline ability. Nunnally shook her head and said, Lelich got his from this girl named CC. She's an immortal woman with green hair who looks about yours and brother's age. I think I found out that she was a prisoner of my brother Clovis at one time. There's others like here, my uncle VV is just like her and is the one who gave my father his Jeez. Naruto said, does Lelich know this? Nunnally said, no. I didn't even know I had an uncle named VV until I met him. Lelich doesn't either until nearly a year into his war. Naruto nods and after a few minutes said, Nunnally, Lelich kept you from knowing about him being Zero, didn't he? Nunnally said, yes. Naruto said, thought so. Your brother hates the rest of your family, doesn't he? Nunnally was quite a moment and said, everyone but Euphemia, our half-sister, but she tried to make a compromise to end the war. Lelich accidentally used the Jees on her when he was joking with her after she found out who he was. His Jees made her kill people and he was forced to kill her to stop her. The rest of our family, though he does hate her, see only as an obstacle. Naruto said, so that was a mistake he regretted during his war. Did he have any others? Nunnally said, you're not going to stop him from going to war. Naruto said, truthfully I don't know if I can. People don't just turn around and start a war big enough to become emperor of an empire the size of Britannia while keeping his actions a secret from you without lots of planning or one really bad day. Nunnally got a confused look on her face and said, a really bad day could cause that. Naruto said, well, a friend of mine saw his entire family murdered by his older brother when he was a child and he basically took on the world once in a path of revenge against his brother. When someone has everything taken from them in a single moment, it can cause them to do desperate things. Nunnally looked down and said, like how some 11s fight against Britannia control. Naruto said, from what little I have learned about the situation since I arrived here, yes, and almost nothing will stop that. Nunnally said, I see. As she closed her eyes. Naruto said, did your brother have any other regrets during the war you know of? A friend dying, killing an innocent by mistake, a battle he lost. A mistake he made, anything? Nunnally looked confused and said, how will that help save my brother's life? Naruto said, if your brother was willing to die and leave you after he fought so hard to protect you, then he must have felt guilty about something. Maybe it was just his sister Euphemia's death. If that was it, then me saving her life will spare your brother his guilt, but if there was something else, then I need to try and stop that from happening. Nunnally looked down at her sheet a moment and said Narita the Black Knights, that was Zero's army. The Black Knights caused a landslide to take out Cornelia's forces, but the landslide also took out the towns below the mountain. Lots of civilians were killed, including Shirley's dad. Naruto looked confused and said, Shirley, is she important to your brother? Nunnally said Shirley has a crush on Nai-san, but I don't know if he returns those feelings. Shirley was killed during the war. Naruto said, I know how that feels. Anything else you can think of? Nunnally said the Black Rebellion. Naruto looked confused again and asked, what is this Black Rebellion? Nunnally looked in thought and said, Nai-san was ready to defeat Britannia here in Japan, but then I was kidnapped by VV and he came to rescue me, abandoning the battle. The Black Knights without Nai-san to lead them lost. I think that was the biggest regrets he had that I can think of right now. Sorry. Naruto nods and said, don't be sorry, you did very good considering all that has happened. Nunnally, if I'm going to help your brother, I need him to learn to trust me. Would you be willing to help me earn his trust? Nunnally said, I'll do anything to save Nai-san. Naruto said, I have an ability similar to the Jisoo mentioned, but I don't use it without permission. If you will let me, I would like to use it on you, only to make it appear you are still blind for a few days. Nunnally took a deep breath and said, why? In a quite scared tone. Naruto said, I plan to come here so I can get close to your brother here. Once I arrive, I'll contact you. Act like you haven't ever met me before. I've got a few ideas on how to arrange me getting here, and once I do, I'll then let you see again, using so-called ancient Japanese medicine to cure you of your blindness. Nunnally asked in a hopeful voice, will you be able to help me walk also? Naruto bit his lip and said, maybe it will depend on your actual damage. I'll be honest with what I say on that. When I scan you, can you do that? Nunnally nods and asked, but what will that do? Naruto said, just trust me. Nunnally said, alright, I trust you. Naruto smiles and said, good girl. 3 days later at the Ashford Academy, a figure dressed in a white robe with black flames along the sleeve and bottom of it with a hood built into it walked toward the school grounds. Students who were arriving or in the courtyard saw the figure but were unable to see the figure face due to a white cloth mask covering the figure face. Beside the figure, a red fox walked. Millie Ashford, the 18-year-old granddaughter of the Academy Superintendent, Reuben K. Ashford, and Student Council President, saw the figure heading across the school grounds toward the main building and walked quickly to intercept the figure. Once she got in front of the figure, she said, hello and welcome to the Ashford Academy. I am the Student Council President and official member of the Academy Welcoming Committee. May I ask who you are and what your business is here visiting our facility? The figure stopped a few feet in front of Millie and said, hello Miss Ashford, my name is Naruto and this is Caillou, my companion. I am here to speak with Reuben Ashford. I have an 8 a.m. appointment. Can you direct me to his office? Millie blinked and said, of course, forgive me, I was unaware that grandfather had an appointment this morning. Please follow me. I'll take you there myself. As she began to lead Caillou and the figure into the building. In the courtyard, students were speaking about what they just saw and heard. Millie kept glancing back at Naruto and the fox as they walked through the halls of the academy. Soon they came to a door that had the word administration on it and Millie knocked on the door. A few moments later there was a male voice on the other side said enter. Millie opened the door to the office and said, grandfather, it's me. We have a visitor here to see you. An elderly-looking man was sitting behind the desk of the office and looked toward Millie, who was speaking and had moved into the room and to the side of the room while Caillou and Naruto entered the room. The elder male said, hello, my name is Reuben Ashford, superintendent of this facility. How may I help you, sir? Naruto said, my name is Naruto. I scheduled an 8 a.m. appointment today with you earlier this week. Reuben said, ah yes, I remember you had wanted to speak with me about some business. Naruto said, yes, but before we get into that, can I ask a question? Reuben said, sure. Naruto asked, do you personally have anything against 11s? Reuben blinked and said, no, I don't. Why? Naruto reached up and removed his cloaked hood and said, because I am an 11. I did not want to discuss a business opportunity with someone who would hate me for something I had no control over. Reuben said, is that why you wear that mask? Naruto said, one of the men who trained me when I was younger wore a mask like this to hide his face because he only showed his face to his lovers and family. I honor his memory by carrying on his family tradition. I only show my face to those I consider family or lovers. Reuben said, I see. So what is this business opportunity you spoke about? Naruto said, I've been researching for some time to make sure I could give you the best presentation and have paid a few less savory individuals to gather info for me, so if I offend you about something I say, I am sorry in advance. I guess I can start off with knowing I am aware of your family's history with Lady Marianne when your family created Organomet. I am also aware that after her assassination your family lost a lot of favor in the empire, so much so that it would not be wrong to image Miss Ashford here will be asked to enter a political marriage in the near future. Reuben's face was neutral, while Millie frowned, and Naruto said, which is why I have a proposition that will allow you to regain both status in the empire, but also wealth that will make it where you won't have to request Miss Ashford to marry someone she doesn't love. Caillou, if you would. To the shock of Ruben and Millie, Caillou's eyes glowed and several holographic images appeared. Naruto pointed to one and said this is the A7. An artificial heart that was created by my godmother before the war. She only had time to make one prototype of this model before her death, which is inside of me as we speak. Causing Ruben and Millie to go wide-eyed. Naruto said I have all the files on it that she had on it as well as the designs. It is a replacement heart that does not have to be matched by blood type or worry about rejection. No one is aware of these designs as my godmother was creating it herself in order to save my life. This is the first item on the block in this deal. Naruto walked over to the next item and said these plans are for limb replacements. Anything on the arm from the shoulder down can be replaced with these plans, and anything from the knee down can be replaced with these plans. Caillou here was actually the prototype these plans were designed off of, but it's quite easy to modify them for human use. This will be a big item of interest for the military for soldiers who can't fight any longer due to lost limbs. Ruben said and where did these plans come from? Naruto said my godmother also. She was very vain in her youth and spent her entire life working on ways to extend life by working on how to replace items. The next item is an eye replacement also created by her. Millie asked if your godmother was able to come up with all of these items and they work, how come she never produced them? Naruto said because her ultimate goal was to create a body that she would be able to live forever in. A crazy idea, but one I am thankful for because it has saved my life for over 10 years now. Ruben said what is the next item? Naruto said the next item is one I have been working on for 2 reasons. I want to see my godmother's dream completed on a broader scale by giving people with disabilities a better life. The second reason is because of a young lady I discovered you have here. Both Ruben and Millie tensed and Ruben asked what do you mean? Naruto said I'm not going to lie. I've seen her brother in the gambling halls and recognized him from a picture of him and his sister with their mother when I was researching on how to impress you. I've also had her medical files stolen so I could work on giving her back the ability to walk. I've already figured out how to return her sight without surgery and can do that at any time, and I have figured out a way to give her the ability to walk temporarily so she can strengthen her legs, muscles and bones enough so that if and when my research is complete, she will be healthy and ready enough to have the procedure that will allow her to walk again. Ruben frowned and said have you told anyone what you discovered? Naruto said no, and I don't plan to even if you reject my offer. I only ask that you keep an eye for me in the future so that when I do complete my work, you can give that girl back at least part of what was taken from her. She lost her childhood and is being sheltered as a teen. If I can complete my research then at least I can give her the ability when she becomes a woman to become a mother without dying. Ruben said why do you care about what happens to her? Naruto said who's more of a monster, a man who causes pain and suffering or a man who has the power to stop it and does nothing? Ruben smiled slightly and said well you made an interesting proposal. Naruto said I'm not done. Caillou, page 2. The images changed and Naruto said, these are my stocks in different companies around the world that I have acquired. As you can see there are quite a few of them including 30% of the 45% of Ashford family shareholdings that are out in the market. Ruben gaped and Millie asked how. Naruto turned to her and said ever wonder how Lelich gets all the money he does off the nobles in the gambling halls? Those guys are so full of themselves they are willing to throw in anything from cash to their own wives and anything in the middle to make themselves look more pompous, I guess you could say. Lelich only goes after the guys who offer cash so he's not traced. Me. I take just about everything that doesn't breath unless it's a very old bottle of champagne. Ruben chuckled and said how do you even get into those halls? Naruto sighed and said I was hoping you wouldn't ask that my godmother was a healer, my godfather was the last of a very old clan of ninja. As he was covered in smoke and then there was standing there a perfect replication of Millie before the person was covered in smoke again and this time in the image of Lelich before being covered a third time and showed Naruto who said my godfather taught me everything he knew so that when he died his clan teachings wouldn't be lost to the world. He told me he wanted me to live in a world of peace and recreate a clan dedicated to the belief that true strength comes from protecting that which is precious to you. If you're worried that I might have killed then the answer is yes, but only to either protect myself or others. Ruben said what is this deal you are offering? Naruto said because I'm an 11, it is very difficult for me to find much more info than what I already have. What I am offering is 20% of the Ashford shares as well as 10% of every other share I have in every company I have as well as a payment of $2 million paid to you in 4 even installments over the next 2 years as well as all the blueprints I have shown you with the exception of the last one that I am working on. Giving Nunnally her sight back today, but I want 10% of all the profits from those blueprints and I want printed on every container of the items for the plans I gave you that they are a joint venture of Ashford and Senju Industries in honor of my godmother who created them. Since I'll be keeping 10% of the Ashford stock, I will also give you 10% of Senju Industries stocks. Ruben said, what is Senju Industries? Naruto said, right now it is several smaller companies. I created Toad Printings and. Millie's eyes widened and said, you created that? Ruben looked confused and said, you've heard of it, Millie. Millie blushed and said, you know the Uchiha books that have appeared recently? Ruben said yes. Millie said, those are produced by Toad Printing. Naruto rubbed the back of his head and said, those books were originally wrote by my godfather, but never printed. I've only released 3 of the series so far. Ruben asked, how many are there in the series? Naruto said 15 for the Uchiha Paradise books, 1 for the Tale of the Gutsy Ninja, 6 for the Uchiha Tactics books. I sort of co-wrote the last one though. As he rubbed his nose through his face mask. Ruben said, I see, and how is that business? Naruto said 2 million copies sold in the last month. Ruben said, so Senju Industries is a printing company? Naruto said, no, that is just a branch of it. I've also opened the Ichiruka raiment stands with 6 stands in the Britannian part of the city and 4 in the ghettos. I sort of won 2 different casinos after I broke the banks, and I've put a few new attractions in them to draw in customers, but that's just a side company. I've created a movie company that has Uchiha Paradise, the movie coming out in a few weeks, as well as a few others, that with the help of the holographic technology you saw earlier, would be about all that is Senju Industries at the moment. Ruben said, that's quite a lot you are offering, what is it you want in return? Naruto said, as I said, as an 11, it is hard to get access to information that I need to continue my research. What I want is to become a student here for the next 2 years where I will graduate from here, and when I do then Senju and Ashford stay business partners in the future. Ruben said, that's all. Naruto said, no, Miss Ashford gets to choose who she marries. No one is allowed to force her to marry anyone she doesn't want to. That's my final request. Millie was shocked and said, why are you wanting that for me? Naruto looked at her and said, my mother was forced to move from her home for political reason when she was a little girl. Her family all died in an accident shortly after that, and she was never allowed to go back to their graves or funeral to say goodbye because of a political reason. The guilt from that caused her to try and kill herself once because she felt ashamed of herself. The injuries she caused in that attempt years later was the actual cause of her death when she gave birth to me. Because of that I see political marriages as a death sentence, and I try to save anyone from them if I can if the two are not in love with each other. What good is living if you are dead inside? Millie blushed and looked away, and Ruben smirked behind his hand and said, I have a condition. Naruto turned back to him and asked, and that is? Ruben said, well, here you must join the student council and you must live here as well. Naruto frowned and said, I have free travel rights to come and go as I please, since I have business responsibilities also. Ruben said, agreed. Naruto said, and I know what you're thinking. It's her choice, but you should know that like my mask, I have certain quirks that I will do to honor my friends and family who are all dead now. One of which is I plan to have a harem which is legal in the Britannian Empire to make sure my godfather's request is fulfilled. Ruben said, understood, welcome to Ashford. Millie said, you're not saying what I think you were, are you? As she looked at Naruto and Ruben. Naruto said, your grandfather hoping that by me being on the council and you president that our time together will cause an attraction. I was born at night but it wasn't last night. Millie frowned and Ruben said, I have no idea what you are talking about. In an innocent tone that was not believed by either Millie or Naruto. Naruto said, not that I don't trust you, but would you sign this? As he pulled out a scroll. Ruben said, what is this? Naruto said, a business contract that protects myself, my investment, as well as yourself. This way no one can say you committed market fraud when you take back your shares of your family's stock holdings. Ruben quickly read the document and said, you are a very smart young man, Naruto. Oh my, I seem to have just realized I haven't gotten your last name yet. Naruto said, my entire name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, but I prefer to go by Naruto Uzumaki. I use Namikaze for business use. Millie asked why. Naruto said, because it's not what we are but what we do that defines who we are. If I tell people my name is Namikaze, then they can look me up easier and find out exactly how rich or connected I am. I want people to treat me the way they do for who I am, not what I am. Millie said, I see, so what do you want done now, grandfather? Ruben, who finished reading the document, signed it and said, first, here you go Naruto, and again welcome to Ashford. Naruto pulled out a computer disk and said, the designs on the heart are on this disk, and Caillou here will have the funds transferred to your account along with the shares. I will give the other designs to you with each payment so that Ashford doesn't get too much attention too fast to cause others to look here who might stumble upon the prince and princess. Ruben said, agreed. Please get him a school uniform and then take him to the living quarters on the south side of the school grounds. I'll contact Lilich and tell him that a business partner I have has some new medical procedures that could help Nunnally see again, as well as maybe walk again. Naruto said, very well. Ai raised her head and said, what do you want me to do, Naruto? Ruben and Millie went wide-eyed and both said, she talks. Naruto said, I did tell you that Caillou here was the prototype model for some of the research I've got. Caillou can talk and can replay anything she sees or hears. For now just follow silently and memorize the layout of the school, so if I get lost you can help me figure out where to go." Caillou nods and Ruben said interesting, well you both have things to do as do I. Have a good day and again, welcome to Ashford. I'll be making an announcement that we have a new student shortly so Ashford can welcome you. Naruto said thank you, shall we Miss Ashford? Millie said Millie, please call me Millie. Naruto said very well Millie. Shall we? As he bowed slightly and motioned toward the door. Millie nods and Naruto opened the door for her before they left. Ruben chuckled and thought interesting guy, now where was I, as he reached into his desk and pulled out a pink book with the words Icha Icha on the cover and he gave a little giggle. Naruto followed Millie who said you will have to get a school uniform. I guess that should be our first stop. If you will come with me I can take you to our tailor to get you your school uniform. Naruto nods and continued to follow her. As they walked through the halls several people gasped or began to whisper seeing Naruto and recognizing him as a Japanese or 11, depending on who you asked. They soon entered a room where several women in servant uniforms were chatting quietly, but once Millie entered with Naruto all talking stopped and everyone looked startled. Millie said ladies, this is a new student who needs a uniform. His name is Naruto Uzumaki. Please help him get dressed properly. One of the maids who was Japanese said yes Mistress Ashform. Uzumaki-sama, if you. Naruto said Kinwaichi's interesting. Each of the women including Millie's eyes widened at that and the woman who spoke before said excuse me sir, I don't. Naruto disappeared and appeared behind her with his back to her and said shinobi. Facing each of the women except the one at his back and Millie. The next moment Naruto appeared back where he was before and said, my respect for your family has been raised Miss Ashford. I had thought that I was one of the last people in the world with ninja training. Millie asked how did you do that? I know you said you were trained by a ninja, but how? In a shocked voice. Naruto said my godfather I told you was a ninja, but I didn't tell you my godmother was as well. Both my parents were orphans after my mother family died in an accident and my father didn't know who his family was. My grandfather took both in as a caretaker, he was also a ninja who trained my godparents. My father was trained under my godfather while my mother under my godmother. My mother passed away giving birth to me while my father died in a terrorist attack, saving a newborn child life. I was raised by my grandfather after their deaths. After his death my godparents who had secretly been training me in both their arts not only as a ninja but also in medical field and another field I rather not go into. They took me in as a full-time disciple until they died in the early days of the war. My godmother died when a soldier she was treating used an explosive device to kill her, himself, and everyone else at the field hospital she was working at. My godfather died shortly after that. The doctor said it was old age, but I know it was a broken heart. He loved my godmother greatly. Naruto shifted his eyes from one lady to the next and said samurai care about personal honor, ninja care about the honor of their master, be it a person, a place, or an organization you're willing to do what you must, even acts of dishonor, in order to protect the honor of your master, you know this, right Miss Ashford? As he glanced at her with cold-hardened eyes. Millie nods her head quickly and Naruto said do you know why I have revealed any of this to you or the Kunoichi here? Millie shook her head no and Naruto said you are their master and they would do anything you tell them to do. Well I was trying to get as much info as I could to help make a case to you grandfather so I could come here I met Nunnally. Millie's eyes widened and Naruto said, didn't you ever wonder how I was so sure that I can give her back her sight without ever meeting her? Millie frowned and said now that you mention it, I do. How did you meet her? Naruto said Caillou there actually came here once to see if you still had that frame because I was thinking about offering a few ideas I had for nightmare frames if my initial offer wasn't approved of that would work with your family's frame. Caillou found Nunnally who was kind to her and she revealed she could talk. Caillou asked about her condition and Nunnally told her and after making another trip back here, arranged a secret meeting between us while her brother was away with me coming in through the secret tunnels her brother uses to leave. Millie gaped and said Nunnally, those are secret for a reason. Naruto said don't be hard on her. She is an innocent little girl besides, those tunnels are on the school blueprints in the city archive so they're not as secret as you might like to hope anyways Nunnally asked me if I would be willing to help her keep an eye on her brother because she afraid he's going to get in trouble so I have some contacts I have watching out for him when he leaves. Each of the ladies' eyes widened and Millie said Lelich is he in trouble? Naruto said none at the moment, but I got the feeling the secret he's alive won't be a secret for much longer. Lelich has earned himself the nickname, the Black Prince, in the gambling halls, but I don't think it is just a coincidence. My gut is telling me there is more going on than anyone knows. I think whoever the mastermind was behind their mother's assassination knows Lelich is alive and lives in these lands, but does not know where. Nunnally seems to think so too, and she's afraid someone's going to set a trap for him. One that will give him his greatest desire revenge. I have no proof of this, but I do trust my gut. Now the question is, what will you do? Will you tell what I just told you so Lelich does feels guilty for worrying his sister, or keep what you have learned about me a secret Miss Ashford, and will you order your Kunoichi too as well? Millie took a deep breath and said, is there a danger to this school? Naruto snorts and said don't be naive Miss Ashford. The world will always be at war. There will always be those who oppose and despise those in power, and there will always be those who are greedy and selfish. Charles will quest for more power, territory and control. Once he passes away his children will fight and plot as they already are to gain his throne. This will cause a new cycle of violence and pain with new victims who will want revenge. This school is in as much danger as any other place in the world. I cannot control the world no more than you can. One day this school will be a place of peace, the next a place of war. An enemy today will be an ally tomorrow and an ally today an enemy tomorrow. Why else would you have Kunoichi as servants here? Millie frowned and the head Kunoichi in the room said, as much as I hate to admit it, but he's right. Millie said I know just promise me that you will try not to turn my home into a battlefield. Naruto said I was here not because I am a ninja, but because I want to create a better world to live in with any friends and family I make, because all those I had have been taken from me. I will not end anyone's life here, as long as they are not directly targeting those under my protection, and I will do everything I can to avoid violence. That is the most you will get from me. Millie sighed and said I'll keep quiet as will those who serve me. Naruto nods and said is that from your family and friends as well? Millie bit her lip and nods. Naruto said thank you. The next moment there was 5 Naruto surrounding him, shocking the others in the room, as the Naruto began to strip him of his cloths, and to the shock of everyone there a pile of concealed weapons began to appear on the table in front of Naruto. Millie asked wide-eyed why do you need those weapons? Naruto said you've only seen one side of the world Millie. Think about Nunnally. She was just an innocent girl living with her mother and brother and look at her right now. The world is a dangerous place for everyone. Not every bullet that comes out of a gun hits its target. Sometimes there are civilian casualties. Just because I want peace doesn't mean I won't fight to defend myself or others. Once Naruto was down to a pair of black silk boxers and his face mask he said, I believe you understand now why I was hesitant to start undressing my face is up here ladies. Each of the women in the room began to blush, realizing each of them had been caught, and Millie said yes what about your face mask? Naruto said my mask and boxers only come off for 3 purposes. Bathing alone, to please my lovers sensually or sexually or when I eat. Each of the ladies in the room eyes glossed over and Millie's eyes widened and asked you're serious about that harem thing. Naruto said well my family is dead. I don't plan for my family or friends' legacy and knowledge to die out with me. Since this is my life, I've got freedom about how to carry it out and I plan to be a very rich, handsome businessman with a harem of blissfully happy goddess for wives who will be the envy of women everywhere, not only because of the natural beauty and their blissful look from having their husbands spend countless hours pleasing them, but because of their beautiful children, who will be the envy of people everywhere who will be loved and respected for their minds and bodies. With a smile behind his mask, Naruto shook his head to clear his mind and looked at the women in the room and said perhaps you might be interested in helping me with completing that mission Miss Ashford. Your grandfather gave his permission, but like I told him it's your choice. Causing all the women to blush. Millie said you're a shameless flirt. Naruto disappeared and appeared behind her with his hand on her stomach and his head on her shoulder, holding her flush against his body, and said sensually a shameless flirt, I may be, but deceiving about you beauty I do not. The puff sound was heard behind Millie before to hers, and the other women in the room shock a female voice behind her, said sensually, of course I've heard about your interest in the touch of a woman, that I would be more than happy to help you explore. As the now female hand on Millie's stomach began to gently circle it as Millie felt kisses on her neck and collarbone, causing Millie to bite her lip to try and suppress her moan. Naruto used his free hand and motioned to the other ladies to who quietly left. Millie felt the hand on her stomach now inside of her shirt, while the woman behind her used her other hand to rub the inside thigh of Millie's right leg. Millie closed her eyes and said what are you doing? In moan gasped. The voice behind her said rewarding you for all your hard work, Madam President. You're too stressed. Millie moaned even more as the hand inside her shirt cupped her breast, while the hand between her legs had went up her black skirt and rubbed the front of Millie's panties, causing her to squirm, and the kisses on her neck found a spot that caused her to moan even louder. It wasn't long before Millie felt her body that was burning inside shiver as she released her essence as wave after wave washed over her body before her eyes rolled in the back of her head. When Millie awoke she found herself on the couch covered up and Naruto was now in a Ashford Academy school uniform, putting a scroll in his pocket and said, "Are you alright Madam President? I hope your stress has been relieved." Millie looked around the room and said in a soft voice did the others see what happened? Naruto said see no. Suspect yes. They were just outside the door not wanting to take the chance of failing to protect their mistress. Had you even whispered for help they would have charged in, even if it cost them their lives to save you. Millie pulled the cover up over her body and said did. Naruto said no. I only gave you a small taste of what you have done to the women on your student council from what I have observed while I was preparing to come here. Woman. As he was covered in smoke, and now there was a blonde-haired girl with pigtails standing there to woman. Before turning back to normal with his mask still on his face. Millie smirked and said, "You're devious, but I kind of like that." As she got up and swayed her hips as she walked over to Naruto and said, "Take your mask off." Naruto turned his head to the side and said, "Oh, Madam President. So commanding doesn't always being in charge get tiring sometimes. As a kid, did you have someone open your presents at Christmas and your birthday for you?" Millie's smirk got even bigger and said, "I suppose not. Are you my present?" Naruto said, "Would you like me to be?" Millie asked, "Can't you just give me an answer?" Naruto said, "Where's the fun in that?" Millie smirked and grabbed Naruto's mask and pulled it down quickly and said, "Oh my, those look like whiskers." Naruto said, "Naturally, I am a fox after all." Millie reached up with her right hand and began to stroke Naruto's left cheek, causing him to close his eyes and moan. Millie's smirk turned into a soft smile and said, "So the big bad ninja does have a weakness." Naruto slowly opened his eyes and leaned forward gently and kissed Millie on the lips, who kissed back. Both had glossed over eyes when the need for air forced them apart, and Millie asked, "Why did you target me to seduce?" Quietly. Naruto asked, "What do you mean?" Millie frowned and stepped back and said, "I've had Kunoichi around me as long as I can remember. I've heard stories from them. You said you were observing for who knows how long. Why did you target me?" Naruto frowned and said, "You wouldn't understand." Millie said, "Try me." Naruto looked at her and after several moments said, "It's hard to explain, but you know the situation your family is in, right? I mentioned it earlier. Ever since Lelich and Nunnally mother was killed, your family has fallen out of grace." Millie frowned and Naruto said, "Odds are your family will try and pressure you to marry a noble or someone to try and regain some of what was lost. Even after the deal I made with your grandfather, people care so much about appearances, now that they give up their morals, beliefs, and honor, all because they care more about money, power, and bragging rights." Millie looked down and Naruto said, "I wasn't just talking about you, Japanese, 11s, or myself. My life wasn't an easy one. In fact, odds are I'll never be able to tell everyone the complete truth. The day I was born, my father, he was the leader of our small village. We were being attacked and in order to save our village, he sold himself in order to save the lives of the people who lived there. His action saved our village, but a lot of people hated me because of his action. I had worked hard to gain friends and respect of the people there. I've helped hundreds of lives in my life, and I valued the friends I had made so much, so I considered them family, but even still, I felt alone during the war. One did everything I could to save and protect those precious to me so they could live, but it was all for nothing. They are all dead, only remembered in my memories." Naruto smiled softly and said, "I think you can understand a little bit what I am talking about. You've felt that way before, haven't you? That's why you're planning to fail the graduation test this year. Surprised? I know the future well. It's not hard to figure out when you've been in the same spot before. You already knew before today there's a chance you will be forced into a political marriage, basically selling yourself like a slave to a master in order to help your family and friends here. That's why you try so hard to enjoy the time you have here, isn't it?" Millie said quietly, It's like nobody's ever," as a tear fell down her cheek. Naruto placed his hand on her cheek, taking the tear before licking it off his finger, and said, "Tears as pure as the soul of the woman I see in front of me should never reach the ground of this world." Millie blushed as she looked at Naruto and Naruto said, "Millie, I've stained my hands in blood, both saving lives and taking them more times than I ever want to admit in order to save the lives of those I cared for. They are all dead now, so sometimes I feel the sacrifices I have made were all in vain, but when I find someone like you, someone I can see would do anything to protect her precious people, it gives me hope that not all was in vain, that all was not lost." "You ask me why I've been seducing you like this. It's because I want you to enjoy every moment of life you can, enjoy your time with those you cherish, as you never know when they might be gone. As we speak, your family status has been raised." Millie blinked and asked, "What do you mean?" Naruto said, "Well, news is already spreading that the Ashford family has been secretly working with several business who will be changing the world in several fields." Millie's eyes widened and said, What are you doing?" "We," Naruto said, "are minor partners with Senju Industries, a medical research company that has been over the last month getting ready for the release of their new heart replacement technology that Ashford shall be releasing soon. But also the producer of several new medications that are already being produced by subcontractors worldwide, making Senju Industries the 20th largest medical research facility in the world." Millie was shocked hearing this and Naruto said, "And once your family starts producing the new prosthetic heart that Senju Industries has created will be able to be transplanted to anyone, regardless of blood type or fear of rejection, saving the lives of countless people around the world. Your family's status will increase, possibly passing the level of its previous greatness." Can you imagine what would happen when word the CEO of Senju Industries was at one time a student of Ashford Academy? Millie bit her lip and her mind processed the information and said, "My family reputation as well as the school's value would both increase." Naruto said, did you forget that the Ashford family wanted to help spread literature and literacy around the world, are also minor partners in a publishing company that has released several books that are becoming quite popular, as well as a few research theses on cybernetic technology, written by the CEO of Senju Industries. That should also help Ashford's reputation by showing your family are working on trying to help advance technology that could be moved into other areas including military applications. Lily said that would cause people to want to start sending more students here for education, as well as catching the attention of investors and businessmen, bringing our family past our former standing you've. Naruto smiled and said, this will not only help make you and your grandfather look good in the eyes of your family, but also help cover up why you will fail the final test this year. The next moment Naruto found himself on the ground with Millie's lips against his and her sitting on top of him, while hugging him so tight there was no air in his lunges. When she broke the kiss Naruto gasped for breath and said, oh, I see stars. Millie said, you don't know how much what you have done means to me Naruto. Naruto placed his finger to her lips and said don't. Millie looked confused and Naruto said I'm an L. Naruto found Millie's finger on his lips and she said I don't care. It's not what you are, but what you do that defines who you are. You are the most. Naruto closed the distance between them and captured her lips while sitting them both up and snaking his hands behind her back. When he pulled back he said don't forget though the other reason why I am here Millie I'm a healer and killer. I agreed to fulfill a wish of a young lady to protect her brother, hopefully without him knowing until I'm ready. If things go bad I may have to take him away to someplace safe and never see you again. For me, each day may be my last and I live it as best as I can and I know my teasing you was wrong, especially when it got us into this position. Millie frowned and said then why have you done so much for me? Naruto said because even if this is my last day, if I die knowing that I made a difference in one person's life for the better, then I can die with a smile on my face and peace in my heart. Silent and without a trace is what it is supposed to be like for ninja for me. I want to go out the way I came into this world, kicking and screaming, kicking ass, taking names, raising hell while being butt-ass naked. Millie blinked before covering her mouth and snickered into her hand and said oh my god, I can't believe you said it like that. When you think of all the double meanings to that statement it's. Naruto smirked and said I know. Millie said you have amazing blue eyes. It's hard to believe that you're Japanese. Naruto said my mother had red hair and green eyes, while my father had blonde hair and blue eyes. Don't ask me where the hell they got that from because I sure don't know. Millie leaned forward and captured Naruto's lips again, but softer and more lovingly, while she wrapped her arms around his head and pulled him closer. The kiss became more heated over the next several moments, and Naruto groaned as he broke the kiss and said, I think we should stop. Millie who hadn't let go of her hold on him asked why. Softly. Naruto said because if we keep going then. Millie said and I'm a girl, you're a guy usually. We are going to talk about that thing you did later, but this right here it's only natural for what might happen. Naruto said, but you're a noble and. Millie said you're right, but it's my body to do with it as I please. Life's too short to just sit back and do nothing. I know we only met today and I know that there is a chance this could all be a lie, that I'm nothing more than a means to an end, that you're using me, my family and our school, that you will probably sleep with every girl in this school if given the chance. But I know what it's like to be alone in a crowded room, to be part of the crowd, but feel like an outsider. Even if my life has been sheltered, I still know pain and heartache, and even if you try to hide it, I saw pieces of who I believe you truly are in your eyes when you spoke. I can feel your emotions in your words as you try to control them. Having been surrounded by Kunoichi my life has given me a little insight, so let's not worry about anything but right here and right now. Naruto shook his head and said physically I'm probably the strongest ninja in the world, but I've always had a problem with having my feelings just below the surface. Why am I not surprised that when I feel connected to someone they instantly see through me? Niji would be laughing his ass off at me if he were here. Millie asked Niji. Naruto said a friend long gone now. Millie said forget the past, live for the present. As she quickly smashed her lips to his. So this part ends here. Alright that's it for today's video guys, let me know in the comments section how was the story and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, bye bye.